This is Ola, my Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going through this series right now. We'll call it the 10K per month wholesale real estate blueprint mastery, whatever you want to call it. So welcome back. As I run through some of this information from time to time, make sure you're sharing, subscribing, liking, all that nice stuff so you can keep getting the content. And also, if you're looking for opportunity to work with us, feel free to go to myempirepro.com/partners. All the links are linked in the description, and you can see them always scrolling through the screen. All right, without any right into the content. All right, so why 90% fail before $10,000 per month in wholesale real estate? Well, first of all, wholesale real estate is the art and science of finding deeply discounted properties, locking them under contract, a purchase contract at a discount, of course, and then disposing, we call it disposition, assigning the right to that contract to end buyer investor for a fee. We call it assignment fee. It can go anywhere from $10,000 to $82,000 off of my personal experience. By the time I was doing my 30th deal, I was averaging about $15,000 to $25,000 per deal. But it might be smaller sometimes, it might be bigger. So it just depends. But it doesn't matter as long as you can make money and you understand the process. And that's what I'm here to shed some light on. If I get disconnected or anything like that, no worries, I'll come back. It's just that I'm also taping from a shitty La Quinta hotel room. So I don't have a choice right now. So please, let's manage it. I have a scheduled content. I wanted to make sure I'm bringing them. So why 90% fail? Why 90% fail? Well, the game is pretty simple. It's three different processes that you have to go through. 5 stages of the stages are data, contact, leads, contract, and deals. But there are 3 processes that navigate you through that. That process is marketing, acquisition, and disposition. I have other videos that explain that in details. So everyone wants to make $10,000 a month, right? They want to do that wholesaling. Of course, who doesn't want to make $10,000 every single month, potentially more? Everybody I know wants to do that, but people might be a little bit skeptical. People that know how the game works in the United States will not be skeptical. People that are anywhere in the world where they understand real estate will not be skeptical. As a matter of fact, real estate is going through a transitional phase in terms of the market right now. So sales have slowed down. There's more inventory in the market. The houses are spending more days on the market before they sell, but that gives buyers a lot more options and give them a negotiating position. So you can actually pick up a lot of deals right now if you're coming into the game as a buyer. But as a wholesaler, your game is understanding the numbers. You just need to learn how to understand the numbers. So we're actually going to talk about numbers here in a second. So again, everybody wants to make money in real estate, right? I don't know anybody that doesn't want to make money in real estate. If you don't want to make money in real estate, you're kind of weird. But I understand that everybody is busy with their other lives and stuff like that. And that's why we make this platform available so that people can actually learn. But here's the cold truth. 90% never do. They never make money in real estate. And I want to uncover why most people will fail. Even those that attempt it, they will fail before they ever see their first consistent deal. Okay. There are some common traps that I want you to pay attention to. One of them, the major one, I've actually been a victim of this one, is the shiny object syndrome. Okay, there are gurus out there who continue effortlessly. Ever since I've started 20 years ago, they continue to sell. As a matter of fact, how I started was I ended up in the seminar, at a hotel room. Back then, it used to be hotel rooms, not a bunch of webinars that we have today. So because of the social media, and how social media takes everything viral, there's more and more distractions out there. We call it shiny object syndrome. Okay, so even if you've gotten started and you've taken your first step, second step, third step, there's distractions everywhere. And what happens that you end up not doing proper follow-ups. You end up not having proper consistent. You having consistent marketing. Okay, so I just giving you like three right there, three reasons why 90% of people fail. The shining object syndrome, no follow-ups, because obviously there's only so much time in a day. You find yourself all over the place. You're trying this, you're trying that, you're trying again. I've been the victim of that. I'm just letting you know the kind of forces against your chances at success. And thirdly, you have inconsistent marketing. Okay, there's also what we call the skill gap versus the will gap. Everybody wants to make money in real estate, right? But there's also something called the skills, and the skills is not necessarily knowing how to. Knowing how to is a function of doing. Okay, yeah, function of knowledge to an extent, but we have we have we have abundance. Let me make sure I'm connected. We have abundance of knowledge. Okay, so knowledge is not the problem. The problem that we have today is what I would call execution. Okay, the people have knowledge, information everywhere, tons of information, but no one is executing, which is what I'm doing here is a little bit different, because instead of selling you another course, okay, I want us to do business. Let's get to work and do some business. That's the difference. Okay. So that's another thing. That's a fourth one, the skill gap versus the will gap. Many people want to, but they will get stuck in wanting to, getting ready to get ready, and never really getting anything done. Okay. So it's very important that you have accountability partners and systems in place. You need to be you need to position yourself so you can measure daily KPIs. What we call KPIs, that means key performance indicators, right? What are the things, activities you're supposed to be doing every day? Is this supposed to take you an hour, 30 minutes? It doesn't take a lot. It just, like I said, is the difference between knowledge and execution. Okay. Most people just know too much. Most of us in this time and age, we know too much, but we execute very little because we're overwhelmed by wanting to know. We're obsessed. We want more knowledge. We want more knowledge. Okay. So you need to find out what your daily KPIs is, what activities, which leverage point have you decided to come in. I mentioned on one of our last few videos, go check it out. The four leverage points, which is called media labor capital, right? Where are you coming into the game, and how are you going to measure your progress? Obviously we want to close deals. You want to make $10,000 per month, but there's a lot of different milestones in between now and that point that you can actually use to measure your progress, right? We set a goal, $10,000 per month, but you need to turn that to a smart goal. You need to be specific, it needs to be measurable, right? Attainable, achievable, reachable, and trackable. You need to be able to track all those different things in order to succeed. Okay, so it's very important to have daily KPIs. If you're doing cold calling, how many calls are you making? I don't encourage cold calling, FYI. If you're sending offers every time you prospect, let's say you set off campaigns, right? How many offers are you sending in a week? The more offers you make, the better, right? And then obviously, if you have people sitting inside of your CRM, right, your customer or client relationship management software, if you have certain people sitting in that, how many of them are you following up? How many follow-ups are you doing that you're logging on any given week? Okay, so if you're not tracking any one of this stuff, you're like 90% of people that will attempt any business that will fail within the first 5 years. Any business, well, it's no different in wholesale. It's definitely not different when it comes to being a real estate agent. At the end of the day, this is not a job. It's entrepreneurship. You're responsible for all those things that typically a job will basically give you a paycheck to do every day. But that's why this is highly rewarding. It requires a little bit more of you in terms of discipline, but that's the reason why it is very, very rewarding. All right. So real talk, this is a mindset issue. Okay. There's some routines here that we need to set. Things needs to be repetitive in nature, and if you let me make sure that I'm on the right microphone. Okay, good. Things are going to be repetitive in nature, but that's how it works. It's going to be boring. You're going to be distracted from time to time. Remember the shining object syndrome, but that's precisely how you're going to win. And if you get distracted by shiny object syndrome all the time, see, we call it shiny object because they will pose as valuable. They will look like value. They will make sense. You'll be able to justify that it makes sense to be distracted, but you have to be disciplined. So mindset and routine are more valuable than fancy systems, than getting distracted. Every time you jump ship, you feel like you're doing something fancy, but it's just all a waste. So now that you know why most people fail, let's talk about the one key shift that separates the 10% who actually hit $10,000 per month. Okay, so yes, make sure you're watching all of those videos. If you can't in the moment, make sure you're saving them in your watch later, and make sure you're coming back to them. So let's talk about what the other 10% tend to do. And yeah, I'll be right back. This is Ola, my Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your Empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so you've seen other people on hit $10,000 per month, and you thought, when do they know that they belong in this business? But even more importantly, there's another question that you're probably asking: what do they know that you don't know? Okay, what is it that they know that you don't know? Okay, it's probably not a lot of things. Okay, it's probably just one piece of thing that I want to share with you here. But I want to keep it super simple, because oftentimes one of the dangers here is that we complicate everything. Like I said, there's marketing, there's acquisition, and there's disposition. And you need to find out where you can add some value, and make some serious money. Okay, let's keep it simple. Okay, so now with that being said, what is it that they know that you don't know? What is it that they know that you don't know? It's simple. It's very simple. Okay, but it's going to change everything for you. I just said it. You probably missed it. It's the first of the 3 things I just said: marketing. Okay, marketing, not just marketing, consistent marketing. Okay, consistent marketing. For consistent for how long? What if I'm giving so much and nothing is coming back? Well, consistent for as long as it's going to take. Well, that's going to get boring somewhere. But you know what doesn't get bored? Systems. Okay, systems. So the key here is consistency plus systems will become predictable income. To me, right now, I have the luxury of acting like I can predict the outcome of all of this. It's because I have experience, it's because I've seen it. So obviously, I can't unknow what I already know. But if you've never really closed any deals, right, you can Google this anywhere, you can chat GPT this anywhere. You will find out that anywhere you go, any kind of massive company, franchises like McDonald's, anything that's successful that you've seen over, they're consistent. You go to McDonald's, every single time for the last 5 years is the same rules, the same menu, same meal menu, the same everything. They might change price points, they might be fluctuating price points because they're analyzing and looking for the best way to optimize the whole system. but you notice that some things are consistent. Majority of what you can visually see are consistent. So if that was human beings trying to be consistent, it is super difficult. Okay, it's very difficult to walk a straight line for the next 12 months and don't shake. You will have whispers in your ears. It's a mindset issue. You will have people, eh, spiritual, monitoring spirits all up in your ears telling you, is this going to work? Will it work? It was not going to work. Yeah, because you've never really experienced it. And you're a human being like the rest of us. Okay, so here's the key. Here's the key right here that you're not going to get anywhere. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me see here. What are we doing here? Okay, yeah. The key to the success you're looking for, again, is marketing, but you have to think of it in terms of consistency and systems. That creates predictable income. Now, there are three pillars to marketing. Okay, it's message. Message is what are you offering? You can think of message even in the form of product to some extent, right? What are you offering? Like, what transformation are you offering people? That will become a message that you need to communicate to the second pillar, a market. And the third pillar would be media. But in this context, we can call it systems. Another way we've said this, we've covered that in our book, Smart Real Estate Wholesaling, or any of my books, actually, Digital Marketing Certified. You have value, you have people, and then you have to connect those with a system. All right. So if you had consistency to that over a period of time, 1 year, okay, 1 year, depending on what the goal is, if there's some, in fact, when it comes to your overall business, you need to have 5 years, because what happens is that you overestimate what you can do in 1 year and you underestimate what you can do in 5 years. And before you know it, you blink, 5 years is gone. So those are the three pillars right there: market, media, and the message, or people, system, and value, right? What are you bringing? What value? What is the transformation that you're communicating in the form of a message? That's marketing. And you have to set up a system around that to do that for the next 1 year minimum. All right. There's too many people. This is why people fail. There's too many people coming in, testing things out for 2 weeks, and there's only so much data you can collect in 2 weeks. You're not going to get enough feedback to make proper judgment on, right? But over a period of time, at least 90 days, you will see some meaningful data. You can say, hey, this is what I've done, this is what has worked, this is what hasn't worked. You can measure real time, and over a period of time, you can measure and use your feedback to pivot. This is how successful businesses and organizations and massive conglomerates, this is how they build out. They all started like me and you. Okay. And when you're consistent, you know what that creates? It creates what we call the compound effect. When you have a daily consistent actions, right? Over, and they just build on top of it and they multiply out exponentially. Okay, the initial curve is super slow. It's going to that's why you can't do anything for less than 1 year. The initial curve is crazy slow. I'm telling you this because I've been a victim of what I am teaching you right now. I know we're talking about real estate, right? Wholesale real estate, heart and science of finding deeply discounted properties. But if it's like as simple as just blink your eyes and it just happens, everybody will be doing it, right? You know what most people can't do? They can't commit to a 1 year process. That's what most human beings cannot do. Okay. And that's what sets the winners apart from the losers. Because the compounding effect of consistent daily actions, you can't beat that by jumping from one thing to another all the time. You just can't. Okay. The only way to get that is learning how to leverage time. We're not asking for indefinitely forever. We're asking for intentionally, knowing that when you commit the next 1 year to something, you're going to see meaningful data. In wholesale, it's almost unlikely, if you're consistent, that you won't have closed some deals. But in 5 years, you would have built a business. Okay. So anyway, let's keep going. So again, very, very simple. The key here is consistency plus systems. Okay. Consistency plus systems. This is what the winners know that you don't know. Now, When you close one deal, it becomes easier. You have experience of success, right? You know what you know. You can't unknow what you don't know. That's why even when I took slowdown over the course of the last 20 years, I always found my way back to real estate, because the first 3 years was, it's just too much. I'm like, I know too much. It's just very impossible for me to come back from it. Okay. And you're looking to just close that first deal, but close the first 3 deals, and then it's stamped. Then you have data. Then you know what works, what didn't work, and you can pivot to create more of the success you've had. But the most difficult phase is going to be the beginning phase. Okay. It's going to be the beginning phase. So, how do we measure progress here? Okay, you need to be making offers consistently, 3 offers per week. Everywhere. That's making offers. Okay. So the more people go through the rabbit hole, you make actual real-time offer. And you're consistent about that. You do that for the next 1 year and don't blink. Okay. Don't you dare blink. All right. So now that you've got the formula, now it's time to feed it. Let's feed it. Let's talk more of marketing. Remember, the formula here is somewhat marketing, but more so in this segment, we talked about consistency plus systems. But let's talk marketing, because without leads, your business is dead. I'll be right back. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So, you want to find deals before anyone else knows they exist. Okay, that's the key thing here. We talk about list pendings a lot. List pendings is basically a list that's public, a list of people that are late on their mortgage, right? They're potentially heading towards foreclosure. We'll call them, another word for it is pre-foreclosures, right? And it's recorded at every at county houses around the nation, United States. So traditionally, you would have to literally drive down to the county house and then go into their database and then pull the records and then put together letters, and then you send it and you make those offers with buy houses, right? And these are opportunities, okay? But because of digital marketing, you can actually see a lot of these deals before they hit those lists, you know? And so you're like way ahead of the curve. Like list pending is pending lawsuits. It's Latin for pending lawsuits. There's an intention. Sometimes they call it intention to foreclose, right? So it's a paperwork that the mortgage companies will file with the court, the superior court. I don't know if it's superior, but the court. They would file it with the court, the civil court, in counties around the nation, that says, okay, this person owes us money they haven't paid in 90 days plus, and we've done all kind of collection activities over and over and over, but they don't seem that they can afford this property. So that's what list pendings is. So it's a public notice of a pending foreclosure, essentially. Now, why is it a gold mine? It's a gold mine because when a person is having foreclosures looming around their neck on a daily basis, they can potentially become a motivated seller. Okay. And what you're looking for are motivated sellers, people that have a real need, desperate. Yes, the word is desperate to get rid of a piece of real estate property. Okay. And most people that want to buy real estate, they go to a realtor, as you can imagine, right? They go to a regular realtor, and they go make an offer. Okay. They go to a realtor. Hold on one second. I'm just trying to look at something here. Interesting. Boom. Okay. Okay. All right. So most people go to a realtor. One second, guys. Most people go to a realtor and a real estate agent, a typical real estate agent, and they make an offer. They have to put down big money, but they're buying at retail price. They're paying retail price for that piece of property, retail full price. So, for example, in this market right now, there's no more. At one point, there was bidding wars. Now things have slowed down. So the buy is the buyer's market right now. But still, you're paying at retail. But here with wholesale, you're paying at most 70% in a typical market. If it's a $1 million neighborhood, you might pay up to 85%. But the point is that you have built-in equity that you can now use to secure equitable interest with the purchase contract, and you can help people find, you can help investors find this kind of properties. Okay, one second, guys. Okay, so now with that being said, again, the lease pendants is a gold mine of motivated sellers. There's less competition because everybody else most people will go through the conventional route. You know better. Now, how do you find this list pendants? I already told you traditionally you will go through county records, but we have what we call data providers and platforms like PropStream. You can see the link for PropStream strolling to. You can go if you want to try PropStream for free. Just it's linked inside the description box below. Okay, but basically you can do an outreach to those people. Traditionally, you can still do postcards from inside of PropStream. Actually, you can do postcards and send postcards to those people, making offers, consistently making offers. Okay, that's what we mean by marketing here. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about marketing in a second here, but let's talk about the list pendings real quick. So, but when people reach out to you and they say, yes, I don't know, I think I need to get rid of this property, they might not be up close and front with you with how much money they owe because you're capturing them. If you're using any type of inbound marketing, outbound means you're cold calling them, you're bothering people when they haven't said, I'm ready to sell. People do it successfully. I don't like it. I prefer inbound marketing. We'll talk about marketing in a second. But when they reach out to me, when the interest is created, right? You contact people, right? And then, it becomes a lead when they show interest. At that point in time, you need to have a conversation with them. And that conversation is very simple. You need to know why they're selling, how soon they need to sell, and those two questions are major. Okay, why they're selling, how soon they need to sell. That will help you gauge their motivation level. Okay, if you don't get answers to those questions, you probably don't waste your time. Okay, usually they'll tell you why they want to sell, and how soon they need to sell. And how soon, like, well, I need to get rid of this, is the kind of language you need to be hearing. Okay, now as you're having conversations with them, you need to obviously apply ethics, because there's a lot of people in the game. Like any other lucrative game, there's a lot of people in the game that don't mind taking advantage of vulnerable homeowners. Be careful, it'll come back and bite you in the butt. Apply some empathy. You're there to help. Okay, you're not there to prey on their distress. You're there to help them actually alleviate the distress. You need to help them get rid of a pain in the butt. That's the goal. Okay, the house, a property, something that's supposed to be an asset, has become a pain in the butt for them, and you get to make $10,000 or more per deal for helping people get rid of this type of pain points. And then you also potentially get to build your portfolio with built-in equity by simply helping homeowners that might have ended up on a list pendants list. This is a secret tool in real estate. Okay, this is a secret tool in real estate. If you've been in real estate, it's not exactly new, but it continues to be consistently a secret tool. Last time I checked, earlier on this year, there was already 140,000 foreclosures filed this year alone. And remember, they pile on top of each other. So some of them have been filed last year or 2 years ago, and they're still in the pipeline. Remember, you can capture a seller, a motivated seller, somewhere in between. You don't know. Sometimes they pay up, but they're still stressed out. And they might just see your ad on a feed on social media and say, let me give this guy a call because I don't know. They keep stressing out because the pressure is too much. You're trying to keep up with the bills. A lot of time people will catch up with all their payments 2 or 3 times before they are completely caving. They can't afford to hold on to the property, especially in this job marketplace where people are struggling. So now that you are generating top tier leads right off the bat, again, go to PropStream, check it out. Let's make sure you know how to analyze the deals. Let's make sure you understand marketing fully, but let's also make sure that you know how to analyze some of these deals. Okay. All right. With that being said, I'll be right back. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your Empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's talk about marketing real quick. Hold on 1 second. 1, 2, 3. So it's supposed to be power. Interesting. All right, let's talk about marketing real quick. As a wholesaler, real estate wholesaler, you are a marketer. Okay, majority of your activities is going to be marketing. It's like one of those 80-20 rules things, right? Especially in the beginning, you need to be feeding the beast. So you have this idea of a wholesale real estate. It's a lucrative business. Okay, you can make $10,000 to $82,000 flipping real estate contracts. How do you find these real estate contracts? Well, it's not, some people can find them through realtors. There's a special strategy around through real estate agents, but it's definitely not going on Zillow and walking around and traveling around and looking at houses. It's none of those. It's none of those. It's not about any of those conventional stuff. Okay. This is about finding deals. Do you understand? It's about finding deals. But how do you find deals? You have to look for leads. No leads, no deals. What did I say? No leads, no deals. If you don't know how to find leads, your business is going to be dead. It starts as data, right? And then it changes to contacts because you can contact people. You have their contact information. Either with digital marketing now really, but Facebook, Meta, Instagram have access to all their contact information. So you do, right? But data, contact, leads, interest, people raising up their hands and saying, hey, I think I'm interested in selling. No leads, no deals. It's really that simple. The average, last time I checked, okay, I don't know the updated information. Last time I checked, the average real estate agent makes less than $8,000 per year. Why? You used to watch that TV show with realtors making $2 million a year. What happened Well, that's the top, right? Majority of them are just paying fees every month to some broker somewhere to hang their license, but they don't understand this part right here. Marketing, no leads, no deals. The best wholesalers, they never run dry. They don't run dry, even especially in slow markets. I punked out in 2008. I did because I didn't understand this. I didn't understand this fully. I was doing it, but I didn't understand it as a concept. I was lucky enough that in 2005, the first person that actually um, that I can say really gave me this. His name is Richard Douglas. I don't know where Richard Douglas is. He really drove this in his course. Marketing, leads. And I went in, I went hard. I even went so hard that he actually started feeling some type of way because I was all over his market. At that time, he was going into, um, he was marketing mainly into, it's called, what's the name of this town in Jersey? It's in South Jersey, right next to Philly. Camden. Camden was his market at the time, Camden, New Jersey. So once people, because once you give me a formula, I go all in and I try to. So I went into that market and he didn't like that because it was a small town. He didn't like that, even though he taught me the game. So one of the leads that called him, one of the leads that called him, they called me at the same time. I went there, I tried to sign the paperwork, but I got out of Camden very quickly. Okay. But the deal here that you need to understand is that no leads, no deals. If you understand this game, you're going to be offered. Now, there are three major lead sources I was talking about earlier. Two types of marketing, right? Inbound and outbound. But there's three major lead sources. There's off market, there's on market deals, and there's referrals. Referrals is not something you can count on in the beginning. Obviously, if people in your circle know what you're up to, they can refer business to you. But remember what I said earlier on, this is about consistency. The consistent people win. So if you're sitting around waiting for people to refer business to you, it might not happen. Okay, it might not happen. But you need to have something you do consistency that's putting out offers on a regular basis. You can do that with off-market deals. Okay, off-market deals is what I just described in the previous video. List pendants, go watch it. But home market deals are basically when you talk to real estate agents. There's a strategy around that, but if you're a beginner, I wouldn't advise it because you kind of need to know what you're talking about. And real estate agents, they don't have time for you if you don't have money, if you don't have, and remember what I told you, you don't have to start by having capital. You can just have labor, you have time in your hands, right? You might know how to code, you might know how to operate media, right? Social media, digital marketing, and things like that. So there's three major sources anyway. There's off market, there's on market deals, and there's referrals. And like I told you, referrals is something that happened organically over time. I've made some really good money, like people just saying, hey, I know Ola and he will help you with this. I've made some money from that. But it's something that happened long after I had started making money already, and people will refer when they can trust. So there's also something we call the marketing channels. There's cold calling, which I don't encourage, okay, or I don't teach. Let me say it like that. There are people that have done cold calling successfully, but it's one of those activities that for me personally will get me quitting way too soon. And this whole thing is about positioning yourself where consistency is a little bit easier than otherwise, right? So if you're pounding calls all the time and people are not picking up the phone, and the few times they pick up the phone, they're cursing you out, yeah, that's quite discouraging for me. SMS text messages, too many rules with SMS text messages. Some people still do successfully. You can do it if you master the strategy. Whatever strategy you've chosen, make sure that you're able to be consistent. The key ingredient is consistency. Remember that, right? And then there's direct mail, which can still work. But if you're in a major city where a lot of people are sending the same letters, that's competition. But again, you do competition and what we call competitive analysis, right? And my favorite is digital marketing. That's why I wrote the book Digital Marketing Certified. So you can download that for free with the link in the description. So, but you want to basically build a simple daily marketing rhythm. Consistency, guys. Consistency. You want to simply have a simple funnel where people can come in through attention, engagement, you make an offer. The attention was captured by itself because it was an offer. We buy houses. So I want you to think of the attention itself, the ads, the campaign of itself. In of itself, I want you to think of it as making an offer. But you want to set this up as a simple daily marketing rhythm, something that doesn't need you to touch it and fill on it for no less than a week at a time. Because what a lot of people do is they get distracted, they start touching it. How do I know? Because I've done that. It's a terrible mistake. It will cost you millions of dollars, literally. Okay. So you want to focus on automation. You want to focus on AI, um, because that's just the world we live in. You want to use things like CRMs, customer relationship management software, to manage your contacts. And don't overthink that. That could easily simply be Excel in the beginning, just a good old Excel spreadsheet to keep track of what you're doing. But if you're getting fancier, some people start talking about Podio and all this kind of stuff. Most people talking about, think about what I just said. Most people talking about Podio have not closed one deal. That's backwards. That's ass backwards. Okay. Make sure you're able to do simple daily marketing rhythm. That's the key here. Okay. That's the key here. But my favorite is always going to be digital marketing. Okay. I might be biased around that. I don't know. But I just think it makes your life easier and easier to be consistent. And most people that are supposed to be doing this game, they can afford $25 a day, unless they are deceiving themselves. Okay, if you can afford $25 a day, then that's a different story. You might need to find a job first. All right, let's keep it moving. So now that you're marketing like a pro, let's add one secret weapon that separates the losers from the winners. Sorry, the average wholesaler from the elite ones. Okay, let's talk a little bit more. And I'll be right back. This is Ola at My Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right. Let's talk about how to analyze wholesale real estate deals fast. Okay. We'll talk about this in just a few minutes. Okay. It's very simple. Okay. It's simple. And even in transition markets like the one we have right now, where there's longer days on the market. Okay, there's longer days on the market. There's high inventory, higher increasing inventory, and the mortgage interest rate has kind of stabilized a little bit. So the buyers have more options. Okay, but if you're selling, it's spending longer days on the market, and if you're looking at comparables, you need to be looking at no more than 6 months into the past. What is a comparable? A comparable house that sold, a comparable house analyzing that sold within the last 6 months. You can extend that a little bit longer in okay markets, like 9 months, 12 months, when markets are stable. But when markets are tight, like what we're looking at right now, so like sales are not happening fast enough, you need to be a little bit stricter with your numbers. For me personally, I have an evergreen formula. I only use 6 months or less. Okay. And if the market gets way too tight, like in the form of a recession, like what happened in 2008, you have to take it down to 3 months. They're not going to look at sales that happened beyond 3 months into the past, because the banks want to protect their money, obviously. Okay. So with that being said, let's talk about, 1 second here. Okay, let's talk about how to analyze some of these deals. Okay, you're locking down a deal in minutes, not hours, because you know how to look at this a house, ask a couple of questions. One of the questions you should be asking is like, how much repair does it need? Does it need cosmetics? Does it need a major repair? I think it might need a roof. Not major, but it needs a roof. That's kind of like medium. You need to be able to estimate pretty quickly some kind of like just a ballpark number, because again, there will be more than enough opportunities for due diligence. Okay, so you want to spend minutes, not hours, because your competitions will still be running numbers. You are the winner. They will still be busy running numbers, over analyzing everything, but you need to be able to analyze deals fast and accurately. Simple rule, 70% rule. 70%. You cannot pay more than the 70% of the fair market value of that property if it was in a perfect condition. Let me repeat that. You cannot pay more than, as a wholesale dealer, right? Because your job is to find deals for investors so you can fix up the house and sell it. Okay. Your job is also, sidebar bonus. Your job is to find the best deals in the market for your own portfolio with built-in equity, right? You're not paying retail price because you know better, because you know about my Empire Pro. Okay. So you can't pay more than 70% of the after repair value of a piece of property. That's the 70% rule. Okay. So it's very simple. It's a very simple formula. You multiply the ARV, okay, the after repair value, by 70%. How do you find out what the ARV? Hold on one second. Just hold tight. Okay. How do you find out what the ARV is? I'll come back to that. Okay. 0.7 is the same thing as 70%. Okay. So you can't pay more than 70% of the after repair value, assuming the house is in perfect condition. If the house wasn't in perfect condition, then you need to estimate the cost of repair. Okay. I just said estimate. It will never be accurate. You just need to be able to come up with something real quick. So wherever the local vicinity you're dealing with, you kind of need to know the area a little bit and know but you can Google your way into being able to estimate some of this stuff. Okay. Mild work, cosmetic work, 20 to $30,000. Okay. Needs roof, needs new bathrooms, new kitchen, but everything is still perfect in terms of pipes and stuff, internal central air. Okay, you're looking at about $70,000. Okay, it needs major gut work, 120 to $130,000 in terms of repair estimated cost. How do you find out this information? You ask the homeowner when you're talking to them. Okay, remember you're prospecting, you're talking to them. So you ask them and they'll give you. And sometimes they will even give you the cheat sheets. They might be like, okay, we had a contractor came out to take a look at things. Many of them will tell you that. And then you just say, look, so what's the estimate? And then you take that down, you write that down. You mark it up a little bit by $10,000, right? And then you do your math. So ARV multiplied by 70% minus the estimated cost of repair will become your maximum allowable offer. Okay. You can use PropStream. PropStream, you can try it out for free. It's linked up in the description box. It actually spit out the number for you in many ways, and there's a way you can tweak it around. And so a lot of the tools you're going to need to do this is in there. So you want to be able to make this kind of offers fast, you need PropStream. Okay, it makes your life easier. And then obviously, if you understand these three, there's two variables here. There's repair estimate, and there's after repair, right? You can spot red flags about properties just by having these conversations. All right. You can spot red flags that quick. Okay. Plus, again, the way we've done this math, 70% kind of factor in a lot of things that can go wrong. You can push that 70% number to up to 85% if you're dealing with $1 million homes. If you're dealing with properties that are less than $100,000, you need to be at around 55%. Okay, because you need enough spread to be able to pay closing costs and to be able to make some money, because it's pointless if you can't make any money. Okay. So comparables are easier. I'm not going in this time and age. I'm not going to encourage you to start doing things manually. I'm going to tell you to get the tools, the automation you need to move things fast. And the only and the tool that I recommend for you is PropStream. Okay, everything is in there, even including management of contact as a CRM, especially as a starter. Everything you need to get going, it's in there. Okay, so 70% rule, 70% room, there's wiggle room depending on if you're dealing with $1 million home or you're dealing with any home under $100,000 in terms of the value in the neighborhood. Okay, so 55 to 85%, but the real number you're looking at is 70%. Generally, I'm at around 65%, generally speaking. Okay, and again, you need tools. Okay, you need to understand how this works, but just use tools. Okay, remember, we're talking about how to analyze wholesale real estate deals fast in minutes and not hours. So use tools, use PropStream. You can try it out for free in there and play around with it, and then you can decide if you want to keep it after the trial or not. Okay, but consistency is key in all of this. Okay, so now you can analyze and lock in deals fast. Okay, you can send over contract, say this is the offer I'm making, and remember, whatever you offer you make, all of that is changeable. Okay, it's just all the conversation. Okay, um if for some reason your numbers are off, your numbers need to be right. So, but what it means is that you can always correct it, right? You can say, hey, I think we overestimated what we think we can pay for your property. Are you open to negotiations? What's the worst they're going to do? Cancel the deal, right? That's the worst they're going to do. Remember, you are working with volume here. So, in the grand scheme of things, somebody canceling a deal is not a big deal because we're consistent, we're winners. I hope that makes sense. Now let's talk about how to close these deals profitably, especially the big ones. That's where the double closing comes in, right? All right. I'll be right back. This is Ola, my Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right. Let's talk about double closing. What if I told you there's a way to make 2 or 3 times more per deal legally? Yes, legally, without tipping off your buyer or seller. It's called double closing. Um, uh, when my first deal ever was supposed to be $20,000. This was December 2005. It was supposed to be $20,000. It ended up being $10,000 because I was jumping ahead of myself. I decided not. Well, it's not a decision. I eventually decided to use a mentor. Okay, what happened was that I started a business. Remember, I mentioned a guy's name, Richard Douglas, in New Jersey, and back in 2005. So I executed my marketing, and then a lead came in, and then I signed a contract. As a matter of fact, at the time I used not a sales contract. I used what they call the option to buy. Oh yeah. In real estate, you can use option to buy. So it's a one-way contract, basically, that say, hey, you give me this time and you're giving me the option to purchase this property at a certain price. All right. So this property was actually in Mon Avenue in Newark, New Jersey. And I signed the deal, and I started the disposition process, and somebody was interested in the property. And then it was $20,000 spread that I was about to make. I was so happy, excited, but scared shitless at the same time. It was the first deal. I was 20 at this time. I was 26 years old. I just turned 26 at the time. Anyway, so did the deal, set up everything, sent it to a title company. Well, the title company I was using what happened to be the buyers. I didn't know the game. I was just doing things, just trying to, But between signing that deal signing that contract and closing, I had three additional leads came in. Okay. But I had met this young gentleman at that time. He's like 1 year older than me, so his name is Anthony Cardinelli, right? And he was like, I met him through another gentleman called Bob Barenbach in Jersey, right? And they were like, no, walk with Anthony. I went to this real estate event in New Jersey. I think now it's called Delta Hotel. At that time, it was a Sheraton at the time on Route 1. So I met them and they said, start working. So I met Anthony. I took, kind of like, okay, we can relate. And he said, okay. Then so I generated like three more deals and said, Anthony, he's going to mentor me. Let's just work together. I said, just work together. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's work together, which is something I offer here now today. And three leads came in. Anthony, we both visited, went to the home, we signed up the deals, and then he started working on them. So I just sit back. I had three deals, so three leads or deals, I guess you call it deals. I had three deals in the pipeline, but I had already initiated one by myself. So I didn't know what I was doing. So of course, with the option to buy, everything was on one contract. Everything was on one contract, which means everything will be one closing, which means they'll be paying me my $20,000 as a fee off of the net sheet, what we call the hard one statement sheet, that shows where all the monies are going, appraisers, title company fee, FedEx fee, all the fees, all the closing costs that you pay in a typical real estate transaction, right? So that would show a fee going to me for $20,000. And that became an issue, right? Because at closing, we got to closing and the seller was like, wait, you're making $20,000 off of my house? And then I said, yeah, that's why we do this business. I don't know what I said. I probably was shaking and, not exactly. I've always been assertive, talking like this. I've always been that way, but still, you don't know what you don't know, right? So he was like, no, I can't do the deal. He was like, no, I'm not going to do the deal. It's like, I'm not giving you no $20,000. So everybody was like looking at each other at the closing, right? So we stepped aside. I said, I'll give you $10,000. And he said, you have a deal. So should I call it I lost $10,000? No, because it was money I didn't have. And that $10,000 I made was good. And I took $5,000. I bought a car. I needed a car badly at the time. So anyway, double closing is basically would have avoided all of that drama because he will be only to see only the side and only the numbers that satisfied the original agreement. And the other there will be a second transaction that will basically be me as a new seller selling the house to the end buyer. So I'm a buyer on the first transaction, but I'm a seller on the second transaction, and the two closings can be done on the same day. And yes, it's legal. Okay. Now there's been more restrictions around it. If you're using mortgages, I think there are restrictions around that. They don't want you to transfer titles multiple times within a short period of time. Sometimes they'll put a restriction of 3 months. But even with transactional funding, for every time they come up with a restriction, there's a new legal tool or legal leverage that you can actually use. For transactional funding, you can pay 1 point, 2 points, and you actually buy the house, you hold on to it, make sure it's safe. For a few days later, you can sell it. So there's no excuse, okay? But it's a double closing, okay? It fosters privacy, okay? Obviously, bigger profits because you don't have to be splitting your profit with people that already agreed to purchase contract before, right? And then it's a lot more cleaner. You pay like double closing costs, but it's still worth the spread that you can make when you actually do it the right way. Okay, so you need title company coordination. You need investor friendly title companies that will make this easier. A lot of title companies just don't understand it. So if they don't understand it, they don't want to touch it. It doesn't mean it's illegal. Just look for investor friendly title companies. And then, like I said, funding, okay, funding. And then, so you can make $50,000 assignment fee, $120,000 from an assignment fee. And also, if you're using hard money lenders, they also restrict how much money you can make. So double closing is the end all be all solution for all of that. Okay. It needs to be big enough to compensate for the two different closing costs you're going to pay because you have two different transactions. Title companies that do this, they're happy because they're getting paid on two different transactions. Sometimes the attorney as well. So now that you're mastering bigger profits, okay, this was the only way I would make it $82,000, my highest deal ever. Just FYI. Okay. Time to skill. Let's into doing more. Okay. Um, let's trust. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them. Always. Shout out to Natu. Natu, I see you. All right. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. I'll be right back. This is Olat, my Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your Empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire. All right, welcome back. All right, urgency plus trust. Okay, the 6-figure wholesale real estate formula. Here's the truth. Winners in wholesale, like the 6-figure wholesale, they close fast. Okay, that's because your reputation goes a long way. They close fast. Okay, they understand urgency and they understand trust. Okay, so of course, remember we talked about 3 different sources of leads, right? We talked about off-market, on-market deals, and we talked about referrals, right? All right. That referral aspect of things is actually a big part of your business over a period of time. Okay. Because at some point, people are going to say, oh, it was Ola that helped me with this. Call him. Just call this number. All right. I have people that I helped them 20 years ago that are still on my contact. Sometimes they see me posting this stuff. Some of them that I helped 20 years ago, a piece of property, meaning I acquired it and then sold it. Right. Some of them are still on my contact. Right. Some of them referred other people to me. You know why? Because of trust. Right. But that trust also comes from execution, from delivering. You have to actually deliver what you promised. So urgency is a real deal. Okay. It builds trust. It fosters trust, not just with the sellers, but remember you're a middleman between sellers and buyers. Also with buyers, you need end buyers, cash buyers, people that have money to spend, people that have the resources, the contacts, right? People that have access to money to spend. So when you find deals, they're off your table. Disposition is just like that. So it's something you have to start paying attention to, but understanding 2 things: urgency and has related to trust. Okay. The psychology of urgency, scarcity. Okay. Scarcity, deadlines. Think about scarcity, deadlines as emotional drivers. Okay, so let's talk about disposition. You can secure all the deals you want, make all the offers you want. If you're not able to sell those deals, they're useless. Okay, I'll tell you what. By the time I was exiting the business for the first time ever in 2008, I had about 30 deals on my table that sadly they had to go dead because at that time there was no buyers. I could, if I know what I know today, I would be renegotiating. I will keep working at it. I will be learning as I'm going through it because you're learning the experience, right? I will keep negotiating with some of the banks I had those deals with at the time. But at that time, I just got to a point things were a little too muddy. Okay, it was crazy. I'll tell you more about that offline if you ever talk to me. And I just had to bow out at least temporarily. I had 30 deals on my table and I blame them all on not having buyers. So not having buyers is a big deal. But buyers in a stable market, in this case, they're going to trust you based on your diligence, based on your listening skills, right? Being able to serve them, right? Because buyers have criteria of what they need. They know what they like, right? And some buyers like multifamily property, some, you know, but in all of that, these are all prospects. At the end of the day, they're just prospects. So you need scarcity. Okay. So you have a deal on the table and you've made sure that the numbers are good, right? Essentially you want to say, hey, I have this deal, we need offers in by this time. You want to set those kind of things. You need to have deadlines in place. The urgency, as much as you might, because some people are scared of certain urgencies, you might be scared that people are going to get, no, they're actually going to respect you because they now understand that you don't waste time. That is the psychology of urgency when it comes to doing these deals. Okay. Obviously, you can't do the same thing for the seller side of things, right? They need to take their time. You need to make sure that you're applying empathy, ethics, and they need to be signing. You can't afford that they will be claiming signing under duress. So that you need to make sure that they're actually comfortable. But all that is going to come from the way you talk, the prospecting, and if you can able to actually build some trust from that standpoint. Okay, so from that standpoint, trust is going to come from a place of credibility you don't have with them, but they can see your testimonials on your ads and see that you're busy working, but also transparency, right? Hey, I work with other investors to make sure we can close on your deal faster. This is something we do. So I need to talk to some of my investors, but sign here first. So you're letting them know that we're going to do some inspections. We're going to have a few people walk through the house. We do buy cash, but we're going to have people walk through your house. And transparency, okay, to just be transparent. Okay, most people are just more comfortable because this is business, right? Just be transparent, and that goes along with. But again, like I said, testimonials helps you with credibility in that sense. So if you've helped anybody, make sure that you're collecting testimonials and working with them, what that made them feel. Make sure you're taking that down because you'll be able to leverage that as you continue in the business. So speed, certainty, all right, creates connection. Yes, in business, it creates connection. It creates a trusted connection for that matter. So, hi, how can I help? Tell me about the house. Okay, so you need to sell. Okay, how soon do you need to sell? Why are you selling? Oh, yes, you already told me that. You're right. You're selling. Okay, all right. So you just need to get rid of. How soon do you need to sell again? Okay, in about 3 weeks. Okay, I'll see what I can do. What I want to do is I want to send you a purchase contract. Okay, how much are you looking to sell for? Yeah. Have you considered listing this house with a realtor? You get more money that way. Do you need to get more money or you need to get rid of it? I think I need to get rid of it. Okay, so why don't we work together to come up with a number that works for both of us? We do this for business, and obviously you need to be relieved, right? Can we work together, come up with something? Okay, all right. Give me an hour. I'll send you. I'll talk to you very soon. See, it's a natural back-to-back conversation. You're not overly reading a script. You're just caring, but you're also trying to take care of your stakeholders, right? If you will. So that's the simple script that I use, just a conversation. I don't overthink it. Okay. But if you want me to put together my script, make it a little bit, you can literally rewind what I just said. But if you want me to put it together, I'll just let me know in the comments. I'll put it together so you can easily download it. All right. Systemize your pipeline. Every seller, every lead, every touch point. Okay, systemize it. Don't overthink it. Don't put anybody on a pedestal, and respect everybody. Treat everybody equally through your processes. All right, so that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint from mindset to marketing, analyzing for profits, right? Obviously taking care of the people you work with. This is it. That's how you do $10,000 per month. Okay, but again, remember what I said. The beginning is actually simpler than you think, but your mind naturally will overcomplicate things. You'll get distracted because of shining object syndrome, and then yeah, you just want to make sure you're avoiding that altogether. All right. All right, so hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. I'll be right back. I'll be back as soon as I can be back. Take care. This is Ola, my Empire Pro, your favorite real estate coach. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your empire starts today. I've written 3 game-changing books. Download them free at myempirepro.com/books. I'm also looking for partners, money, time, or anywhere in between. If that's you, visit myempirepro.com/partners. And if you want to try the all-in-one PropStream software for free, go to myempirepro.com/PropStream. Stay tuned. Let's build your $10,000 per month real estate empire.